Lord, of all people of the world, of all of the individuals who exist, I've experienced the most mercy, for I have offended the most. But the Apostle Paul must move aside, for I am the chief of sinners. My guilt before you must be greater than all others. So your mercy that I have experienced must be greater than what has come to anyone else. So I must praise louder. I must praise more. I must give more voice to the wonder of who you are. I must shout from the depths of my inner being. I must let my whole life be nothing but one demonstration of your grace and your mercy. Bathe us today in the mercies of God. Where we are hurting, bathe us in your mercies. Where we have fallen, bathe us in your mercies. In all that is wrong with us, oh God, have mercy. Have mercy. Have mercy upon us. Let us dwell in your mercies. Let us not just experience a moment of mercy. Let us not just kneel at an altar of prayer and have a touch of mercy. May we absolutely dwell in your mercy. And if we dwell in your mercy, we will be dwelling in your presence. And if we are in your presence, we know you are merciful. Whew, what a Jesus we have. In your name we pray. Amen. Well, verse 7, blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. We've discussed the idea that the merciful obviously is an adjective. It's a participle which is an adjective which modifies the name, the main subject, which is the article the. Therefore, it is there's only 2 times actually in the New Testament that it's used as an adjective like this. One is towards mankind, which is us in this particular passage, and the other is towards Jesus, who is a merciful high priest. So the idea of merciful is really limited in its expression in the New Testament. Merciful obviously has the idea that there is a focus going on. It is a focus obviously towards someone else. If you're merciful towards yourself, then you are really being arrogant and prideful. So mercy is always that which spills out to someone else. You are the one who's being merciful. Someone else is the object of your mercy. If you are the object of the mercy, then the other person is being merciful. So that makes sense, doesn't it? That the whole idea of merciful is it's being expended through you to someone else. So the focus of mercy is always on someone else. We discovered not only that the focus of mercy was on someone else, but the mercy was an idea of feeling. That mercy wasn't contained in the idea of activities. It isn't that you do merciful acts and we know you're merciful. Merciful is the idea of the feeling you have inside. That's really important. Because you could do acts of mercy that would really spill out of pride. Hey, I'm in charge, I'm prideful, I got control of things, and I'm so much in charge of things, and the demonstration of that is that I'm having mercy on you, which really puts me in a position above you, therefore I'm being merciful out of pride. That's not what he's talking about at all. Mercy is an inside feeling that you have. It has nothing to do with activities, although probably activities will spill if you have the feeling. But it's an emotion. And I expressed last week, I hate that idea because I don't want to feel. Thank you for looking at me so strangely. Yeah, feelings get hurt, so let's not have them. But when you get into the very essence of who God is, feelings go on. Isn't that interesting? And mercy becomes a feeling that you feel towards someone. And when you get down to the very foundation of the word itself, you discover that the idea of mercy is that I see you in your affliction. I see you in your distress. I see you in your overwhelming trouble. And something is moved within me, and I feel for you. So I'm actually putting myself in your position, feeling what you feel, sensing what you sense, and that feeling that I have within is mercy. So every merciful person is a person who has a focus on someone else, who has a feeling inside of upsetness, of disturbance, of I can't stand this, oh, I don't like this, because they've seen an affliction in someone else. And they are merciful because of that. In the Jewish concept, we discover that there are being merciful focuses actually on two areas or arenas. One is the idea of hurts or injuries that wrongs that you've received from someone else. In other words, mercy then is forgiveness. So in the Jewish concept, you would equate mercy and forgiveness. So when I forgive you, I'm being merciful. And when I'm being merciful, I forgive you. Because it focuses on injuries that you have done towards me, and I'm being merciful towards you. A second arena where mercy in the Jewish concept comes into play is in the area of almsgiving, which would be the beggar thing, the giving to someone who's less than you are. Therefore, I'm being merciful. But the amazing thing, while that was the Jewish concept and mercy was limited to those two areas, when you come into this passage, ladies and gentlemen, Jesus is literally taking the whole concept of mercy and kicking it to an entirely new level. And the limitations that the Jewish concept had on mercy are literally being taken away, and he is exploding mercy into a whole new dynamic within the realm of the life of the individual. Oh, that's what we really want to talk about today. Got really interested in the idea of mercy. Got really interested in where it came from in the English language. Discovered that it didn't come from the Greek, it came from the Latin. And I want you to look at this Latin word from which mercy comes from, where we get the word mercy. When you look at this word, what does it remind you of? It breaks into two parts, obviously. The first part of this word, which I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce, the first part of this word you would look at and say, misery. Right? So it literally exposes the idea. Mercy literally comes from the idea of misery, the idea of pity, the idea of care, the idea of concern. That becomes the fundamental of it. And the second part of the second word that is the basis in the Latin for our word mercy is the word of cardia, which is the cardiac thing, which is the heart thing. So it literally is the misery of the heart. So mercy is the idea of the pain of the heart. So when I have mercy upon someone, when I'm experiencing mercy within me, and I'm going to be merciful towards someone else, I have a pain in my heart. That's what drives me to the acts of the mercy. So see, this is really a deep thing. And if you say, well, how far do you push that? That's exactly what the writer of the Hebrews does in Hebrews 2:17 when he takes this word, which again, Jesus is the only one that used it up to this time, and then the Hebrew author comes and applies it to Jesus. And the verse, we read this last week, but I want you to look at it again because it is so absolutely powerful. He says in Hebrews 2:17, therefore, in all things he had to be made. Had to be made. Did you get it? Had to be made like his brethren, that he might be a merciful and faithful high priest in things pertaining to God, to make propitiation for the sins of the people. Now, the impact of that is so is so phenomenal in all that you know about Jesus and who he is, that the second member of the Trinity leaped off of his throne and became man. And why did he lower himself, as we learned in the Hebrews class? Why did he do that? It was because God had this pain in his heart. See, that the whole motivation of everything God, I wish I could convince you of this, that the whole motivation of everything God has ever done in your behalf comes right out of the pain in his heart. Why does God have pain in his heart? Oh, it's because he has seen you in your misery. And it has created this deep internal pain that he just could not live with. It is in his nature. He just could not live with it. This was not an adventure for him. This was not an experiment with him. This is not, well, I'll try something just for the fun of it with him. This is not, I'm bored and I'm going to do something different today. This is a deep internal pain in his heart because he's seen you where you are. And he is so identified with you. There's the identification idea. He is so identified with you in that pain that he has come and taken on your pain. So see, mercy is this internal feeling that I have because I see you in your situation and I cannot stand that inside. It just gives me pain in my heart, and I so identify with you that I begin to feel what you feel. Have you ever had mercy on anyone? Have you and I ever so gotten out of ourselves that we felt what someone else felt to the point that we hurt in our heart? Jesus did. Jesus did. Now we're looking specifically this morning at the end of the verse, for they shall obtain mercy. And we want to try to get at this systematically so that when we walk away we'll have some kind of understanding, and hopefully the Spirit of God will reveal his word to us. But in order to do that, we're going to divide it up into three ideas that are all dovetailed together. One is the idea of selection. We discussed somewhat that the idea of mercy is focused towards a restricted group. In other words, as you get into what Jesus is talking about in this particular instant, it's not the idea that mercy should be out there, and that anybody who does an act of mercy that we would look at and see as an act of mercy is therefore merciful. No, this is a very restricted group who's being merciful. He is not discussing, for instance, well, you know how the world is. They would reach into this verse, pull it out, and run over to all of these situations in the world and say, oh, there's a guy expressing mercy. For instance, here's a judge. He looks at a lawbreaker, and he has pity on him because of his family or his friends or whoever. And he is moved with somewhat compassion and has mercy towards the lawbreaker, and doesn't give him as severe a penalty for his law breaking that he could have. And we look at him and say, oh, he had mercy on him. Not from this passage. That's not what Jesus is talking about. The reason I say that is because we don't know what the motive of the judge was in the first place, and the next time you go before the judge, he'll be meaner than a snake, so he's not always this way. Are you with me? So that isn't the group, that category of mercy. Oh, there's the bill collector. Yeah, he's come after the collection of the bill. He wants the money, man. And hey, I give him this sob story and he lets me off the hook. Oh, he had mercy on me. That may be true in the sight of the world, but it's not true from this passage. That act, that bill collector does not fit into, he doesn't qualify for verse 7. See, what Jesus is talking about in verse 7 is a very selected group. And it's seen in the sequence of the Beatitudes. Oh, we're going to get to go over them again. And we're going to keep doing this until it is so driven into your brain, you will not be able to forget it. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Helpless. Not helpless because they've sinned, just plain flat helpless. Not losers because they've blown it, just they were created as losers. You were made to be weak. You were made to be helpless. You're supposed to be that way. Yay! Isn't it a good thing? Yes, it is. Why? Because in your helplessness, you literally are invaded by the unlimited resource of the person of God. And in that invasion, that union, you become the kingdom of God. That is so neat, isn't it? Well, how do I stay in that situation? How do I get into that? How do I open myself for that? Oh, you mourn. And it's in the mourning that the Comforter himself comes and embraces you. And that embrace, again, is the kingdom. So this is not congratulations, you're on your way to the kingdom. This is congratulations, you are the kingdom. Whoa! Congratulations, you will be comforted someday in heaven to come. No, 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 you are comforted. Why? The Comforter is doing it right now. So I'm helpless and I'm embraced by his unlimited resource. I'm mourning, which gives me the ability, which opens up the possibility, which is the very attitude that allows a divine God to spill his resource into me, the very nature of his own being. And of course, as his nature spills through me, meekness is all over me because it's a direct result of the embrace. It becomes the smell of the kingdom, the very meekness. And of course, I'm hungering and thirsting after him. Why? Because he is filling me. Well, that should satisfy you. It does, but you don't understand. The more I taste of him, the more hungry I am. And as I see more of all, then I hunger for more. And as I am filled more, I hunger for more. And as I'm filled more, I'm hungered for more. And it's a perpetual hungering and thirsting and filling and hungering and thirsting, all in the embrace of his person. So you're not surprised when that takes place, in that embrace, in being the kingdom, in the embrace of the Comforter, in being constantly filled by his presence. Do you know what begins to take place in my life? Mercy. Because I decided to do it? No. Because I do some merciful activity? No. Because I dwell in the embrace of mercy itself. And the mercy is a direct result of the very movement of his nature and being within me. So the only people who can qualify for verse 7 are the people who are the kingdom, which means the ones who are indwelt by his presence. So only the nature of God can possibly produce the individual who qualifies for the description of verse 7. So verse 7 is not being held up to you as a goal to reach, as an activity to do, as an attempt to pull this off. The verse 7 is, would you admit who you are in your helplessness, be embraced by him, and let his nature produce something in and through you that literally is impossible for you to get done, and find yourself being merciful when you want to kick his teeth out. So this is a restricted group. Now, I'm trying to prove that to you, number one, by the sequence of the Beatitudes, which I just walked you through. Number two, by the sentence structure of the Beatitude. Now, it's really interesting, and we're going to lay this out in a little detail, but for they shall be filled, blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Shall obtain mercy is a verb. And the end of it is literally produces the subject, they. Like the Spanish language, the Greek language is the same, you know this, that the pronoun is indicated within the verb itself. So it's only one word. But the interesting thing is that the word they, autos, is there besides the ending of the verb. So it's literally there twice, which means it's being doubly emphasized. So it just isn't any old group out there that's having mercy. It's the they group. And he doubly focuses on the group. In other words, it's the very essence of the individuals who dwell in the midst of mercy that are experiencing mercy and give mercy. So mercy comes out of a state of being, which moves us into the next section. So self-sourced mercy does not put you into the bracket of verse 7. It is only those who are dwelt by the nature. It's a restricted group. And this restricted group dwells in the state of mercy. Let's analyze that. In verse 7, for they shall obtain mercy. Now, the first word of for, of course, is hotai, which is the causative word. It's the idea of for this reason. So he says, I'm congratulating you. Whoa! Whacking you on the back. Well, congratulations. You are so fortunate. You know why? Because you're merciful ones. You are a people who are spilling mercy out to your world. You are a people who have objects out there, and through you is flowing to those objects of hurting individuals. There is mercy flowing through you, so you're the merciful ones, and he's whacking you on the back saying, congratulations. You're not going to give mercy. You are giving mercy. You live in the mercy. You flow the mercy. You are an avenue through which the mercy is taking place. And that's congratulations, you merciful ones. For this reason, I'm congratulating you. Here's why I'm not congratulating you because you're giving mercy. I'm congratulating you for this reason. What is the reason? Hang on. Follow this. They is the next word, which again, we just said it's there twice, which is this restricted group that dwells in the nature of God. So I'm congratulating you, whacking you on the back. You know why I'm congratulating the merciful group? I'm congratulating the merciful group for they are the restricted group that are experiencing this out of everyone else who exists. Then comes the word, shall obtain mercy. Now, the word obtain is not really there. That's an interpretation. It literally would translate, they shall have mercy. They shall have mercy. So I'm congratulating you, you merciful ones, in this restricted group. Why? Because you are the group that has mercy. Now, it's in the indicative, which just I know excites you to death, which means it's a simple statement of fact. Nobody argues about this. You can't debate it. This is we'll put your hand down, keep still. It's that kind of a word. There's no argument with it. It's in the future tense, which means shall have, which is future tense. But here's what's so interesting about the future tense. This blew my mind. The first beatitude and the last beatitude are in the present tense, which both of them refer to the kingdom. Oh. That's awesome. Back to verse 3. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is. That's present tense. It's present tense in the Greek means now and with continuing action. So he says, the kingdom is yours. You're not on your way someplace. This is not where you're going. This is not your final destination. This is, you're already there. Congratulations. You are the kingdom. Why? Because you're helpless and you've been invaded by the unlimited resource of the divine. And in that invasion, you, present tense, with continual action, are the kingdom. Now he does the same thing down in verse 10. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is. That's present tense. So when he refers to the kingdom, which you are in, which is the embrace of his nature and your nature, you are the kingdom. Wow, that's present tense. Now all the beatitudes in between are in the future tense. All 6 of them. Guess what? So here's what he's saying. Guess what? Since you're embraced by the nature of the unlimited resource of a divine God, since you're totally helpless and embraced by that nature, and you are the kingdom, these are the things that you shall have. I mean, these are the things that are yours. I mean, whoop, they're at you. They're all over you. They're coming to you. Why? Because you're... So the reason you're mourning, the reason you're meek, the reason you're a peacemaker, the reason you're pure in heart, the reason you're persecuted. See, all of these come out of this. The reason you're merciful is you live in this state of the one who is merciful to you. And because you're experiencing this mercy and you're just overwhelmed with this mercy, and this mercy is just all over you because that is taking place, wow, you're giving mercy. So you got to get this. So we're going to just keep talking until you do. So come on, look like you do. You don't do deeds of mercy to obtain mercy. Now, some people have translated it that way. It looks like it's that way by the obtain word in there. So we've interpreted it that way. But so many Bible scholars have interpreted it. If you choose to interpret it that way, help yourself. You're just wrong. So, for they shall obtain mercy. In other words, some have said, if I do merciful deeds, if I'm merciful to others, then I will receive mercy. If I'm merciful to others, then God will have mercy upon me. That's not what he's saying. He's saying, guess what? You are a merciful person. You know why? You live in mercy. You live in mercy. You're experiencing mercy. The one who is mercy is wrapping his arms around you. The one who is mercy is flowing within your very being. You dwell in the very essence, present tense, continual action. You live in a kingdom which is helpless, you, the helpless one, and the king. And in that you are the kingdom, which is a merciful kingdom. And in that mercy, you can't help yourself. You have to have mercy. Why? Because you're surrounded by it. You breathe it in. You breathe it out. It's become your inside being, your nature. He's altered your nature, the way you think, the way you feel. You've taken up the mind of Christ, and it literally has invaded your very being until you are dwelling in a state of mercy. Therefore, you are being merciful. So mercy is not a deed you do to get mercy. You don't do deeds of mercy, and God will have mercy upon you. You are receiving mercy. Therefore, you cannot help but do mercy. The state of mercy is the cause. And you say, well, okay, that's your interpretation. But it's more than that, because look at verse 8. Which we will for weeks and weeks and weeks. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Oh, you mean if I'm pure in heart, I'll get to see God? No. Try to be pure in heart and see if you ever see him. You're not going to make that one. So this is not, if you're pure in heart, you'll get to see God. This is, if you ever see him, guess what will happen? Woo! Pure in heart. And he's revealing himself to you. Well, how did that happen? Look at the next one. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the sons of God. If I'm a peacemaker, if I go in and break up arguments, I'll be a son of God. No. You'll be a ringleader, a referee. You'll be a referee. You won't be a son of God. Well, what is he saying? Guess what? Guess what? If you are a son of God, you're going to be a peacemaker. So see, what he does with the mercy is the same thing he does with the pure in heart, same thing he does with the peacemaking thing. It's not that I do these things to get this. It's that, I've embraced him, and he is mercy. Therefore, mercy is spilling all over me. Now, if you say, well, I don't know if that makes any sense to me. Jesus told stories. In fact, I don't know how you feel about this, but many of them were jokes. You went away just laughing, saying, oh, brother. That's a preacher's exaggeration. This king went off. We don't know why. Probably vacation, whatever, they do that. So off he went. While he was gone, his servant who was in charge embezzled the funds. Oh, this is not good. Did he think he was going to get by with it? Come on, the king has his spies, has other people. He's not just going to, a servant, obviously a trusted servant, obviously one he depended on, and this servant embezzled the funds. You know how much he embezzled? $2,370,000 worth. Don't you wonder what he spent that on? That's probably more than's going to come in the offering today. $2,370,000 worth embezzled the funds. The king came back. He discovered it. You know good and well you couldn't hide that kind of thing. He called him in. I want my money back now. He fell on his face, the servant did, and said, oh, have mercy on me. Have mercy on me. Please, I'll pay it all back. Which was a con, because there was no way he was going to earn enough as a servant to pay back $2,370,000 worth. This is a situation that you could not, I'm so bad I can't get out of this. This is, I am so trapped. My back is against the wall and there is no way. I'm in a dead end road. I'm in a blind canyon that I can't get out of. There is no possibility. So it was a con. So even as he asked for mercy, he was conning. Why? Because he's a con. Aren't we all? $2,370,000 worth. The king said, I want my money. Sell him. Sell his wife. Sell all his kids. Sell everything he owns. The new TV he bought, hey, it's gone, man. Sell that new car he bought with my money. How much are you going to get back? It won't be $2,370,000 worth. But I'll get what I get, and that's the end of that. It's the best I can do. Have mercy on me. Have mercy on me, he cried out. The king said, okay. And you know what he did? Oh, he took the note, ripped it up. This is not, you go out, I'm watching you, and every dime you earn, I'm taking. No. This is not, you're going to wash my windows for nothing from now on. No. You're going to slave. I'm going to put you on hard labor. No. This is a rip. Note is clear. You don't owe anything, and I'm going to treat you from this point on like you never did this. What? Oh, mercy, mercy, really? You're reinstated? Wow, you're kidding me. Reinstated? Oh, I can't. You mean I'm going to, this is going to be, whoa, you mean no whip on my back? You mean no penalty? You know, I could keep the TV. I embezzled? Yeah, I'll keep it. And whoa, you're kidding me. You got to be kidding me. Mercy, mercy. $2,370,000. He's walking out the door. Soldiers, let him go. He's walking out the door. You know what he's doing? He's snapping his fingers. Woo, $2,370,000. Woo, forgiven. I'm forgiven. I'm forgiven. I'm forgiven. I've been forgiven. I've been forgiven. I've been forgiven. He steps out the door. There was a fellow servant standing there. That guy owed him money. He had loaned it to him 3 weeks ago out of the money he had embezzled. You owe me money. You owe me money. You know how much he owed? Here's the joke. $16.69. That's the joke. I loaned it to you in good faith. I know, but I don't. You better pay me back right now. would you give me more? You're getting no more time. You were supposed to pay it last week. But he threw him in jail. And you're going to stay there till you pay it all back. $16.69 I earned. It was hard stealing that money. It's a joke. Wait a minute. You just walked out of the door. You were just forgiven $2,370,000. He owes me. You just $2,300,000. You could never have. He owes me $16. My wife wanted. It's my wife's birthday, and I was taking her out for dinner. Well, I have to go home and have bologna now. When the king, you can count on it, somebody's going to rat on you. When the king found out, he was angry. Why? Not because he'd forgiven. Not because he didn't get his $2 million back. He was angry. Why was he angry? Took that guy, nullified the mercy, threw him gave him to the torturers. Only time that word is used in the whole New Testament. People that beat you to death. And he turned him over to the torturers and said, you will be beaten to death until you pay me. Why? Guy, I put you in a state of mercy. I forgave you $2,370,000 worth, and you went out of here, woo, forgiven. I put you back in mercy. You lived in mercy was all you dwelt. Your wife now, your kids, your job, your home, your future, everything about you was restored in a state of mercy. You dwelt in a state of mercy where everything was returned to you. Your decency, your self-respect, everything was given back to you in that state of mercy, and you lived in that state of mercy, and you wouldn't stay there. You stepped out of that state of mercy and because you wouldn't stay here, I want to make an announcement. You will, listen closely, this is important for the rest of your life. You will never, ever be wronged as much as you have wronged. If you want to know what I've done to people, $2,370,000 worth. That's what I've done. You know what's been done to me? $16.69. I will never, ever be hurt as bad as I have hurt. When you line them all up, and all the people I've hurt, and all the people I've injured, and all the people I've done things against, and all the times I've blown it, and all the things I've done, $2,370,000 worth. And if you want to calculate, that's the joke, folks. Calculate that over against what people have done to me, $16.69. So see, do you have any problem? I've been forgiven. $2,370,000 worth. There's got to be a song in that. I've been forgiven. Wouldn't you just live in that? I've been forgiven. Here's a guy who owes you $16.69. Forget it, man. I embezzled it anyway. Woo! That's the beatitude. That's the beatitude. That I live in a state of mercy. And because, I live in this state of mercy, I'm being merciful. How could I not? How could I not? Now, just briefly, tied into that is the security idea. See, the worry of it all is about the guarantee. I've been forgiven $2,370,000 worth. Oh, but wait a minute. The king revoked it. I know. Wow. What if he does that to me? What if I live in the forgiveness of Jesus all my life? Oh, he's forgiven me. I come right up to the end and say, oh, yeah, 5 minutes ago, your forgiveness was revoked. Go to hell. How do I know Jesus isn't going to have a bad day? Today he's merciful, tomorrow he's going to smash me. I've been taught that, by the way. This is the day of grace, but there's coming a time, you're going to walk out of this door and he's going to run you over with a car. Come on, I've been taught that. So today is the day of grace and mercy, but there's coming a time. How do I know when he's going to change on me? What's the guarantee? How can I be sure of his mercy? How can I know for sure? What security is there in my forgiveness? Maybe he's forgiven most of my debts. What if there's debts he hasn't? What if he finds out something at the last minute that wasn't covered in you didn't confess that one, I just found it. Oh, this is awful. Man, you could worry yourself to death over this one, couldn't you? How do I know? How do I know what's the guarantee? Jesus is the guarantee. Hebrews 13:8. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Hebrews is full of this. Hebrews 7:24 and 25. Look at this. But he, because he continues forever, has an unchangeable priesthood. Therefore, he is also able to save to the uttermost those who come to God through him, since he always lives to make intercession for them. Woo. Oh, we got time. Hebrews 6:17 and 20. Look at this. It's lengthy. Walk through this with me. Thus God, determining to show more abundantly to the heirs of promise the immutability, unchangingness of his counsel, confirmed it by an oath. What is the oath? That by two immutable things in which it is impossible for God to lie, we might have strong consolation who have fled for refuge to lay hold of the hope set before us, the hope we have as an anchor of the soul, both sure and steadfast, and which enters the presence behind the veil, where the forerunner has entered for us, even Jesus, having become high priest forever, according to the order of Melchizedek. Woo! Let's hear it for Melchizedek. Wow. What does all that mean? $2,370,000 worth. Oh. Mercy, forgiveness. Is that going to be revoked? Stay in it. Stay in it. Live in it. Let it flow through you. Let it be your mindset. Let it be your heart. Let it be the way you operate. Let it be your day in and day out. Let it permeate the depth of your being. Because it's in that embrace, in that oneness, in that nature embrace, that mercy is guaranteed. The preacher will let you down. The church will change leadership and kick you out. My own goodness doesn't even like me sometimes. $2,370,000. Jesus. I'm on my face. Man, I'm busted. Man, wow. A guy like me, how could a guy like me how could I ever put my finger in anybody's face? How could I ever criticize? How could I ever stand like a Pharisee and say, I'm glad I've never been like some people who are walking down the aisle beating their chest, crying out for mercy? And Lord, how could I ever withhold your grace and your love and your mercy from anyone? As often as I have blown it, how could I withhold it from the brother who's blown it to my life? And it comes crushing down upon me that I will never, ever, ever be hurt, be sinned against as much as I have sinned against. Thank you for mercy. Thank you for mercy. And God, would you have mercy on me for stepping out of mercy? Because I have been critical. I have been negative. I have been unforgiving. I have built walls. I have been. You got to forgive me. Give me mercy again. Embrace me again in my helpless estate today. May your mercy be experienced anew in my life. Well, heads are bowed, and just respond to him. Would you just respond to him? The mercy that is extended and is flowing for your life and through your life is so phenomenal, so wild. I give you the right this morning to be wild in it. It is so extravagant. I give you the right to be lavish in giving it out. The love that he is pouring out upon you is so abundant. I give you the right to waste it. Just throw it away. Just give it to everybody. Just whether they deserve it or not, just throw it all over them. His love is so immense as he places you in the middle of it that you can afford to give it away to everybody who doesn't deserve it. You can just love when you're hated. You can just spill it out when they continue to. Just live in mercy. Live in mercy. His mercy. And would you please search this out in your heart this morning? Would you please get so wrapped up? Would you please focus on His mercy and all you're experiencing in Him? That any offense that comes your way is so puny, so insignificant. Oh, come on. Let's seek Him together in these moments.